Okay, that went live pretty quickly. I'm starting a little bit early tonight, but let me throw in some commercials real quick for Endure Entertainment Television, the home of clean entertainment. And I'll be back with you in just a couple of minutes.
Hello, hello, hello. This is your girl, preacher, teacher, motivational speaker, Lady Falana. I'm also the CEO and founder of Endure Entertainment LLC. When you think of clean entertainment, think of Endure Entertainment. When you think of Endure Entertainment, think of clean entertainment. Introducing the Endure Entertainment Television Network, featured on CBS, Fox, and NBC, nominated by the Gospel Choice Music Awards for Independent Broadcast Network of the Year. Introducing the Endure Entertainment Television Network family, Renee Rodriguez, Michelle Jackson, Evangelist Corey Thomas, yours truly, Ella Michelle Hinton, Virginia Mayo, and Jeanette Wilson, and Goodlow Nippy III. We are on all the major podcast directories: Spreaker, Podcast Chaser, Diesel, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Podcast Addict, Zafon, Spotify, and more. The Endure Entertainment Television Network is seen and heard in 26 countries outside of the U.S. Television isn't all that we do. Endure Entertainment also gives virtual concerts. We're actually going to have these virtual concerts every 3 to 4 months on our online place, The Hub. The Hub is the place where you can come and praise God, tap your foot, and listen to some good, clean music of all genres. Last but not least, Double E's Branding. It is the home of our clothing and accessory lines. You can go now to doubleesbranding.store. This couldn't be done without the help of a awesome board of directors. Myself, Larry Edwards Jr., Sugar Turner, and Andre Robinson. When you think of clean entertainment, think of Endure Entertainment. When you think of Endure Entertainment, think of clean entertainment. Again, this is Lady Falana.
Back to me. All right, man, I've got one more tonight. I've been reading this book, and it's called 8 Things I Wish I Knew Before I Said I Do. Sorry about the light flickering or reflecting back there. It's by a fellow I know, David Kibler. He's a pastor at Catalyst Church in Nicholasville, Kentucky. And the book, as I said earlier, I went into it thinking it might be like a marriage counseling book, something like that. But it's actually a book on how to live, which is it's really cool. I'm impressed. I don't usually. For a fact, I won't say I like something if I don't like something, but it's good. It makes you think, and that's what's always important with me is I like thinking a little bit. Let me get into it here tonight because I'm going to go kind of quick. I've got another show after this on Facebook Live, and I may go YouTube and Instagram, but it's my uncensored show, and I wanted to talk about a few things, which would be the sober truth and can you read it? The sober truth about AA and the rehab industry. It's backwards. I saw that. But with that said, a lot of people, I just came to the realization. We have the AAs, we have the group meetings, we have the rehabs, and so on and so on. And a lot of people aren't familiar with there is another alternative if you're, if that's the path you want to take, and it's called Celebrate Recovery, which is loosely based on the AA 12-step model. But since we're here at the home of clean entertainment, I wanted to pass this on because it really, when I started out, it helped me a lot. Just basically identifying you've got, the 12 steps that start with, admit you are powerless over alcohol, which is, I don't believe that's what you're powerless over. What you would be powerless over, at least I was powerless over, is my own mind and my stinking thinking and my heartache and loss of God. So, when we go into this, we're going to start, and this is you can get this Bible the same as this book again. 8 Things I Wish I Knew Before I Said I Do by David Kibler. You can get that on Amazon, and this is the NIV Celebrate Recovery. It's a study Bible, but I mean it's thick and deep, but it's good. I mean, it teaches you some things. Like I said, I first did this on September 15th, 2020, which was my birthday. Um, so hey, it's been almost 3 years. Goodness gracious. All right, so we're going to start. This is principle 1, and this it starts. It says, realize I'm not God. I admit that I'm powerless to control my tendency to do the wrong thing and that my life is unmanageable. That rang so very true for somebody like me, is um, uh, I couldn't manage my feelings, so in turn I drank them away. And well, I thought I was drinking them away, and now the in training to be a psychologist, there's so much more to it. Like I really truly grip and get why that alcohol is such a depressant, because I'd sit there, I'm having horrible thinking. It's I'm flashing back to the past. I'm in this pity party. I'm blaming everybody else for everything, and nothing was my fault, and it's just poor me, poor me, poor me, another. And so I would drink it off, and I mentioned on here before, literally, I've never, that I know of in the last 20 some years, drank to get a buzz or anything like that. I drank to get blackout drunk and ignore the whole rest of the world. Everything else that was going on, I was hidden in my own little drunken idiocracy, and it's a shame, but it's redeemable through God, and the salvation I got is. It's truly, it's the greatest gift I've had in my life, and I'm going on quite a while of not drinking for somebody. I drank 26 years straight, and I like to drill this in that I really can't piece together. I was telling my sister this other day. I can't piece together a solid year in the last 26 years, which is unfortunate, but it's the truth. And one of the biggest things you have to do when you're serious about getting, I prefer sober minded, not just sober, but is biblically sober minded, is you have to understand your flaws, tell the truth, to yourself, tell the truth to God, and wake up, because if you don't, you've wasted so much time. And at first it was quite depressing for me to realize how much time I had lost and wasted over these 26 years. But then, you know, as I went on and I started school again, and realized that I can give back and make something meaningful out of the salvation I have, and that is with assisting others. I really don't like it when people say, we help, or a lot of rehabs will say we save lives. It's just not true. It's not factual. It's a good marketing slogan, I guess, but it doesn't go that way. So let's do this, because those that are required AA or NA meetings, just leave a comment somewhere, and you can actually use that. I've been talking to some people in the powers that be about that, You can actually use it for AA meeting, um, is as long as you participate somehow, some way. So, all right, I read this in the beginning, but I'll read it again. Principle one states that you have to. I realize I'm not God. I admit that I'm powerless to control my tendency to do the wrong thing, and that my life is unmanageable. It's really unmanageable, is what you should underline right there, and what's important. And this being the Celebrate Recovery version, it gives you an immediate verse, which is Matthew 5:3. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Um, and I'll go ahead and read through this verbatim so it's a little more understandable than me going off in a rabbit hole somewhere, which I'm good at. All right. Our amazing recovery journey starts with principle one, where we admit we are powerless to control our hurts, hangups, and habits, and that our lives have become unmanageable, out of control. But before we begin this exciting journey, we need to ask ourselves the following two questions. And this, I remember specifically doing this one with another fella. And the first question is, are we wearing a mask of denial? Man, I used to sit there and you'll hear it a lot. You just don't understand. That's what I would say to everybody. You just don't understand. You just don't understand. And when in all truth, I was the one who didn't understand. I mean, I lived in denial. I lived in denial of the trauma of my childhood, and what I drank away for, as I strongly state, 26 years. And it's a blessing to not have to drown that stuff out anymore, and just to be away from that lifestyle. You'll so many people that you may know may seem so happy, um when they've reached the point of addiction, and uh, they think, me, I know I was like this, think I was the life of the party, and so on and so on. But man, I'm the one going home at night and having to live with myself the next day. And as I alluded to earlier, that's where the depression kicks in. And why alcohol is a depressant is, man, when you start sobering up, it's regret, 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 and all that trauma comes right back to hit you. And you're left with two choices, which I avoided for a long time. But when I got to the point of it becoming, as they say, hair of the dog, I couldn't stand myself when I woke up. So I drank some more to get back to that mindset of, not my fault. It's not my fault. So that was the first question. Are we wearing a mask of denial? Simple. And asking yourself means getting humble with yourself. And I really did this, with God. It's, when you realize that you say, God, forgive me for the sins I've committed. I know I committed them of my own free will. That's just how I went about it. And your second question is, this one's a head knocker. It says, over what do we really have control? I lost control of finances, common sense. I mean, the only saving grace about me and my drinking is I never drove intoxicated, but I think more or less, I can remember going to the stores when COVID first, broke out. And I was actually excited that we had to wear a mask everywhere because I thought that covered my breath when I was checking out at a CVS or liquor barn or another store or something like that. So, all right. So, to go by the book again, let's look at the first question. Are we wearing a mask of denial? Before we can make any progress in our recovery, we need to face our denial. As soon as we remove our mask, our recovery begins or begins again. It doesn't matter whether we're new in recovery or we've been in the process and working the principles and steps for years. Denial can rear its ugly head and return at any time. We may trade addictions or get into a new relationship that's unhealthy for us in a different way than a previous one. And God says in Jeremiah 6:14, they dress the wound of my people as though it were not serious. Peace, peace, they say, when there is no peace. Denial is serious. We can't heal our wounds, hurts, hangups, and habits by pretending they're not there. Uh, Following are 6 negative effects denial has on our lives. It's interesting in Jeremiah there because I strongly state this, and it's a point you can tune in later on my Facebook Live. That people get frustrated with me about is in a rehab, for example, most rehabs they treat the addiction, but they don't treat the underlying trauma. And I say this a million times, and I'll say it a million more. Is my biggest problem was my loss of God. My faith was gone. I mean, I had no relationship with God. It's when I went through all this, I learned like a million things. Like I didn't even know how to pray. I went to Catholic school for goodness sakes for points in my life, and did a lot of church when I was younger, and um, I didn't understand God. I didn't understand any of this stuff. I just understood how to feel sorry for myself, and that keeps you intoxicated no matter what your drug of choice is. And let's face one thing that's the truth, and I get tired of having to go over this, but I was in a meeting one time with some kids who said, I don't understand what it's like because they're coming off heroin, and I'm just coming off alcohol, man. Alcohol is one of, if not the most dangerous drug out there. It's highly addictive, and it's one of only two substances that can kill you getting clean from. So, as a cautionary tale, I tell people a lot. If especially people dealing with a loved one who, they'll just they think the best option is to go ahead and go hide their liquor, take it away from them, or pour it out and cold turkey them, and I promise you that can kill somebody. It's just one of those things you can't do. I understand that maybe you're thinking, right, if I pour it out, they can't use it. But if you pour it out, it might kill them because the detox is it's so serious. So this is where I say for everybody watches, grab your pen and write this down, or if you really want a copy, just email me at goodlownapier@yahoo.com, and I don't mind at all printing off stuff and sending it to you. But if we take denial and we spell it down in a row like that, Denial, we'll start with D. D stands for it disables our feelings, and you can take 2 Peter 2:19 on that one and read it to help. And this is a good study. This is why I like this one. Is because it gives you context to go along with it. The E in denial is going to stand for energy drain, and you'll go to Psalm 146:7-8, and again, good verse. I'm not going to cover all those, or we'll be here all night. But I strongly recommend you check that out as you go along. So then we get to N in denial, and that is N stands for negates our growth. And you can go to Psalm 107:13-14 for that one. I is isolates us from God, Genesis 3:7-8. And as I was saying earlier, that's what really screwed me up was the loss of God and direction, and that all went along with the denial because a lot of us it'll say it's not our fault. I like to say, well, my grandfather was an alcoholic, or my brother was an alcoholic, or it was a gene, which I can't overstate this when there is no alcoholic gene. It's fact. It's not true. I get argued this a lot. It's straight science. I am someone who believes in science, and I know a lot of the Christian organizations like to ignore science, and the question I always come back to, well, is it that God didn't create scientists for a reason, or I don't understand your point. But true, no identifiable gene. Genetically, it can be linked to alcohol. We do have genes that are linked to depressions and anxieties and things like that. So you can pigeonhole it in that one, or you can get treatment, which I strongly recommended, not just because I'm on my way to becoming a clinical psychologist, but getting treatment was one of the biggest things that helped me. And I don't mean addiction treatment, I mean mental health, wellness treatment, psychotherapy, covering my haunts, and accepting and getting out of the denial phase. And there's some uncomfortable truths in there that you have to deal with, but is it worth it? 100% yes. Okay, so that takes us to A in denial. To refresh real quick, denial. D stands for disables our feelings. E stands for energy drain. N stands for negates our growth. I stands for isolates us from God. A stands for alienates us from other human relationships. And that is going to be Ephesians 4:25. And it does alienate us eventually. When you're bar hopping, not so much, but when you get into the true denial stage of it, and it's like with me, man. Back after I started this in September of 2020, sometime after that, I was holed up in different hotel rooms for almost 4 months, drunk, and hiding from reality. So that is a very true story. And it's either I guess I was blessed enough to afford a hotel, but it's either that or you're on the street hiding, or just whatever you can do to look. You're saying, I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem. It's your problem. Leave me alone. Not my fault. So that gets us to the L in denial, which lengthens our pain. Jeremiah 30:17. And that is the absolute truth. That 4 months I just mentioned, I can look back a million times and still not understand why I did that 4 months. It factually and actually killed me. I coded twice in a hospital over a period of 3 months from that. And, the more I kept drinking, the time got shorter, but it lengthened the damage done. And as hard as that is to truly explain, I mean, that's just what happened, and that's the way it went. All right, so that's taking us through denial. Okay. And by the book again here, let's go through. As soon as we start working on this principle and admit that we're powerless, we begin to change. And I don't want anybody to say, I admit I'm powerless over alcohol. I admit I'm powerless over heroin. Admit you're powerless over yourself. You can't control yourself. Again, I take the alcohol and the other drugs out of there because that's where it leads to denial. And like I said, I'll get into that on my other show later that's uncensored. And we see that our old ways of trying to control our hurts, hangups, and habits didn't work. Our attempts were buried by our denial, and our problems were held close by our false sense of power. This leads us to the second question we need to answer. Over what do we really have control? In principle one, we recognize our need to admit our powerlessness. Our lust for the power control is rooted in our weaknesses, not in our strengths. We need to realize our human weaknesses and turn our lives over to God. Jesus knew this would be difficult. How difficult? He said this about a related issue, but it applies here as well. Quote, with man, this is impossible, but with God, all things are possible. Matthew 19:26. That's everything I said. No need to rehash it, but I mean, it's our weaknesses. And to go further into it, it's really that pride. It's hurting your pride to uh, admit you've got all this stuff wrong with you. Being prideful it's a sin. And, I know for me, I was too proud to admit what all was wrong with me, but there was a lot going on there. So that takes us to powerless. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing as denial. Spell powerless straight down in a row, and then we'll go to the side. So the P in powerless stands for pride, as I was just talking about. That's Proverbs 29:23 is a good verse for that one. O is only ifs. And let's go to Luke 12:2 and 3 for that one. Only if my grandfather was an alcoholic, only if this and that. And by the way, I'm only using alcoholic for context. That's not something we use anymore and need to use. So let's go straight to W. That's worrying. Matthew 6:34. I know I was in a constant state of worry, and that's part of what you're misusing substances for is to, you're trying to hide or get rid of that worry. It's a wicked cycle, man. So going on after the W, we go to E in powerless, which is escape. Ephesians 5:13 and 14. It is an escape, but it's a false sense of escape. You're not really escaping anything. You're delaying the inevitable, and that's really how it goes. Let's go on to R in powerless. That is resentment. That's Ephesians 4:26 through 27. Resentment. I had a lot of resentment. I know one that I really struggled with is I had a tumultuous relationship with my dad, and when he died in um, 2003, I resented him dying before we could make peace. I mean, I was really mad that he died before everything could be cleared up. He apologized to me the weekend, just a couple of days before he died. He apologized to me for the way he treated me in life, and then all of a sudden he died. So I held a lot of resentment for that one. After resentment, powerless, we're going to go to L, which is loneliness. And that's Hebrews 13:1 and 2. And being in alcohol use disorder, substance use disorder, you're alone in a room full of people. You really are, and it's just part of that wicked cycle, or as I like to call it, that perfect cocktail mix of pain and sorrow. And you're definitely loneliness is huge. Emptiness is next in the powerless model here. John 10:10 right there. I think basically everybody knows that one. But you're empty inside. You're a shell of what you used to be or what you could be, and I'm a prime example of what you can be because nobody a couple of years ago, several years ago, would have believed that I would have been sitting here sober minded today and working towards my way of giving back, and that is through the psychology work that I immerse myself in. I mean, it's weeks go by, and I have no sense of time anymore because my head's buried in a book because I want to learn everything I can to assist others in their journey. Um, and one of the most ignorant things we do in life is go on our own biased instincts, and we all think that we don't hold bias, which is in learning that I'm like, oh, okay, you hold a lot of bias, and that could be cultural. I mean, it could be just nurture and the way you were raised, the neighborhood you were raised in. You're loyal to a certain basketball team. I live in Kentucky, for goodness sakes. If you don't say you're a UK Wildcat basketball fan, you're an outcast, which is, again, a bias. But all right, so then we go to the two S's at the end, and this is important because it's selfish. Selfishness is what it is. Luke 17:33. Because you think, everybody's being so mean to me, and you don't realize how selfish and self-absorbed you are. Is if you're a case like me, if somebody's not feeling sorry for you, they're your enemy. And that's just the way it goes. And this is a double-edged sword because in so many 12 steps and rehabs you'll hear, or even if you watch that show, Intervention, you got to cut them off. You got to, cut them off, quit enabling them. It's a very razor thin line to walk in what to do and what not to do. What I say strongly is you can separate by not separating at all. Counseling is so very important, and I don't mean group counseling for everything. That's a dynamic with AA that I think is a huge failure. Um, uh, you need individual counseling. And there's a lot of outlets to get it because a lot of people say they can't afford it and so on and so on. But there's a lot of that you can get online or get help. You can get help. It's the same thing as everybody says. I'm so lucky to go to college. Um, Anybody can go to college. It's the drive and the determination. And with this sober mindedness, you have to have the drive and determination. And I know that mine comes from God. And what happened between myself and God a couple of years back, where He picked me up off that floor and said, literally dusted me off. I mean, I'm terminal. I was listed as terminal. And sitting at home, and He dusted me off, and I've grown nothing but stronger since then. Which is that's a true blessing of God, and that's all credit to God. I was not a strong fighter. I didn't even try to get better. And I didn't drink or things like that, but I wasn't like actively fighting like people will say, you're so strong. No, that's God's strength. And that is it's a game changer. When you get rid of all these burdens, and you find yourself again, and you find yourself in a path with God, it's amazing. Faith is the most amazing thing in the world. And I can truly say that I have faith. And I couldn't have said that before. And a lot of that I'll get into next time is too. You need to understand you got to have a lot of forgiveness for yourself, as well as at times others. I don't agree with the AA model that you need to apologize to everybody that's ever walked in your life. Apologize to yourself and forgive. Forgive others. I still struggle with people that I just genuinely don't like. I don't like what they do. I don't like how they do things. I don't like that they're con artists, but that doesn't mean that I have to get to the point of hatred and let them take too much of my God given time. So I've forgiven away, but cliche, but forgive. I don't have to forget, and I don't have to give up. So that's the way it goes. Your last part of powerless is separation, and that's Romans 8:38 through 39. Um, the AA principles teach you that you're going to have to change your life, your friends, and so on and so on. I've not had to do that. So with separation, and let's go in my way, which I am trained in this part, is setting boundaries are important. I'll tell you right now, if somebody wants to constantly remind you of the past, or just talk about what you did when you were drunk. And some of it you need to hear, so you need to pick and choose your battles, but a constant reminder. And if it's to a point of being held over you, and it's affecting your mental state, that's where you set boundaries. And it's not, you can't deny it. I mean, if somebody's telling the truth and saying, look, you used to be such a jerk, and you stayed drunk, and so on and so on, that's fine. Have a discussion about it, and then leave that discussion and set the boundary that, okay, we've had that discussion, and that's the end of it. So that's powerless. And again, I don't know how to add stuff to the ticker, but just Goodlow Napier at Yahoo if you want to email me and get a copy of this. Or you can get the Celebrate Recovery Study Bible yourself, Amazon. I know they carry it at a lot of the Christian bookstores. And so here we go, back to the literature again. The power to change comes only from God's grace. In Principle 1, we started working and living this program in earnest. When we admit we're powerless, we go to recognize that we need a power greater than ourselves to restore us. That power is the one and the only true higher power, which is Jesus Christ. So that's what separates you in Celebrate Recovery from AA. AA is a higher power. You can pick the Sharpie as a higher power, and it's not very fruitful. Hebrews 12:1 invites us. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. And that is what I'm proud to say I'm doing now. I'm running the race that was put in my path. I go into this a lot when I'm talking to people, specifically people that are, newer to getting sober, and so on and so on. It would be easy for me to go back and do what I was doing before, and the money's amazing, and it's just, it would be easy for me to do. I was good at what I did, and I made a lot of money at what I did. But that's not the path that's laid out for me. The path that's laid out for me is to study my tail off and get there and become the psychologist that can assist others through. My story is my story alone, and my story is that of salvation and redemption through God. I don't force that story on people. I don't Bible beat people, but I give the story the way it happened, the exact way it happened, and I don't deviate from that. It's what happened. I can't explain it. Medically, they can't explain it. but it's real. So that's where you grab that and you go, wow. Yeah, I can't explain it. It doesn't mean it's not real, because it is. It's just a cool thing. So, all right. Here we go. This verse, that's Hebrews 12:1, spells out two important insights as we begin our recovery journey. First, God has a particular race, a unique plan for each of us, a plan for good, not a life consumed with dependencies, addictions, and obsessions. The second thing is that we need to be willing to get rid of all the unnecessary baggage, our hurts, our hangups, and our habits in our lives. They keep us stuck. And I'm telling you 100% that is a fact. It's holding on to the resentments again, and holding on to anger towards my father, which I've never admitted that to anybody before the last few years. You hold on to it, and it's gonna get you. I mean, it's gonna catch up to you, and that's just how it goes. So, um, we let go of that stuff that keeps us stuck. So, it says, "Quote: Let us throw off everything that hinders the sin that so easily entangles." Working through the 8 principles will allow us to discover God's plan and purpose for our lives. The journey begins by taking the first step. The first step of the Christ centered 12 steps relates to principle 1. So, again, celebrate recovery, study Bible. And the prayer for principle 1 is, this is what I was looking for. Let me cover this one more time, since I'm going to get off here in time tonight. It's step 1, same as AA, basically, paraphrased a little bit. We admitted we were powerless over our addictions and compulsive behaviors, and that our lives had become unmanageable. Again, I'm going to take that out, and coming from a trained point of view and an experienced point of view. I mean, it sounds so shallow when you say, "Oh, I'm experienced at this getting sober thing." It never, me finally being sober minded in my life was never about me. It's about the gift and the blessing that God gave me to rise up, dust off, and move forward. And I can't say how amazing it is and put good words to it, but I've moved forward at I guess, the speed God set out for me, and it works. I mean, I'm a straight A student. I'm on the dean's list. I'm in some National Honor Society, but none of that matters as compared to giving thanks and grace to what truly happened, what brought me here, and that would be God. So it's, to me, it's as simple as that, but it's also as complicated as that. Read into that any way you want to. All right, so here's a good verse for that. Romans 7:18. I know that good itself does not dwell in me. That is, in my sinful nature, for I have the desire to do what is good, but I cannot carry it out. That's the truth when you're in any sort of substance use disorder. It's a truth. Um, I know for me, I so badly wanted to conquer the world, but I was incapable of doing that, because you're walking a path that, let's face it, is a path that the devil lays out. It's full of trickery, discord, decadence. I mean, it's insanity, because you're never going to. I know with my type of drinking, wake up, rinse, repeat. The definition of insanity that we all get tired of hearing is, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. All right, so the principle 1 prayer is, as is here. hair's getting on my nerves. Principle one prayer. Dear God, your word tells me that I can't heal my hurts, hangups, and habits just by saying they're not there. Help me. Parts of my life or all my life are out of control. I know that I can't fix it myself. It seems the harder I try to do the right thing, the more I struggle. Lord, I want to step out of my denial into the truth. I pray for you to show me the way. In your son's name, amen. Added here. Principle one lessons for denial. As we went over that before, spell it out. And then add to it. You go to 2 Peter 2:19, and in the Celebrate Recovery Study Bible, that's page 1554. Powerless, you're going to go to Proverbs 29:23, and that's page 777 in the Celebrate Recovery Bible. That's it for me tonight on that. I just wanted to cover these lessons because I get accused, not accused. I mean, I'm harsh on things like so many people I know, AA is the only solution for them. And, they live by it. I don't agree. I think AA can be viable, but I don't think it's the only way. I don't think scientifically it's not. You're looking at a 5 to 10% chance of total recovery with that program. But from there, there's a place for everything. And, to me, my best advice that I ever give people is listen to my story, my testimony. Take me out of the picture. Put anybody you want in that picture. Put yourself in there and say, I can truly say, look what God did for me. But I can also more easily say, because I feel everything selfish now, but I can say, look what God did for my family, my friends, and those that He is guiding me to assist along the way. The ability to look at us all equally and understand these hurts, hang-ups, haunts, and really move forward in this life we have in a sober-minded way. And that's it for me tonight, but I hope to see y'all again next week. I know it's been about 3 or 4 weeks since I've been able to do a live, but I really, man, I'm not kidding when I say it. I probably put 12 hours into school a day or night. Sometimes I don't go to sleep till 9 in the morning and don't even know what day it is. But in the end, is it worth it? Yes. If I can assist through God with one person, it's all worth it. But that's it for me tonight. I thank you all. I love you all. And everybody have a safe, healthy, and happy weekend.